Well, maybe I'll get outside.
Yeah.
Deal with my existential rebellion.
Metaphysical.
Metaphysical, spiritual, it's blissful.
I've had to look in the dictionary for a lot of the words that I've stumbled upon in the book, and it got me to realize or to want to do a few things. And I was like, dude, I should keep my own dictionary with specifically the words Evan and I think are cool.
I love that.
Like, maybe it's that. Maybe it's those are the words. Like, maybe instead of alphabetical, it's in the order of words that are cool. I didn't know. I was just trying to think of, like, a way to do that. But I was, like, reading a lot of definitions. And a lot of the times it'll say, like, 3 different things in one sentence.
Uh-huh.
Like, it'll say, like, when you have stress or disbelief in an occurrence or a theme in your life, you know, like, it'll, like, have, like, 2 different sentences running through one sentence, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just, like, trying to read through it with, like, all right, which 2 parts are, like, matching that I can chop out to read this as, like, one thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, a conversational dictionary.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I kind of want to just go through the dictionary, read the definition of each word, and then just rewrite the definition in my words. And so, therefore, I study the dictionary. I learn words, you know, again. I study words for a while.
Dude, I love this idea.
And also, it's a nice, like, I create my dictionary, so I don't have to look into the dictionary that, like, I don't like the way it explains something or it doesn't give it to me. But I have, like, a dictionary that is a resource for me that, like, I can open up to this dictionary that I wrote so I can see what this word actually means in a way that I know I will understand it.
Dude, I love it. I think it would be so much fun to do, and it would
So
be
much fun to do.
Somewhat interesting thing to have out there.
Dude, I'm glad you're behind it.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, man. And that's where I think it comes into play of, like, dude, one thing I've been noticing is, like, I've been keeping notes, you know, like, on Google Docs this year instead of, like, iPhone notes or, like, writing them notes.
Okay, do you do that for your phone?
I can do it from my phone. Most of the time I do it on my computer, but I do have the Google Docs app, so I can, if I need to, open up Docs on my phone.
Gotcha.
And so basically what I do is, last year I was going through, like, when I was writing the book, I was really having, like, a specific heading where I would write, like, where I was, what the date was, and what the time was. And this time around, this year, I'm just, like, abandoning all that, and I'm just writing, like, first one, second one, third one, and I just have, like, a list of notes, you know? And I'm noticing that, dude, some of the wildest words are numbers. Like, when you write out 7, or I guess, you know, 19th, like, or 13th, I don't know, dude, they look weird. And, like, 20th, like 20th, like ETH at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a really weird ending. Like, and I'm telling you, if you, like, look at these words, or, like, when you try and type them, like 11th, or, like, you know, like, these are some of the strangest words.
Yeah, you're so right, and it's kind of interesting because I was reading, I can't think of her name now, but the woman who's, like, the master of minimalism in writing. You know, the year I started saying vase instead of vase. A man I hardly knew nearly almost killed me. You know, her. And I love that idea of, like, yeah, why would you say my 20th year when you could say, you know, you get to detail. And because what does 20th mean? What does 20th mean? Well, it depends on what we're talking about. Yeah, the 20th. It really barely means anything. You know it's the one after the 19th and before the 21st. And maybe given the context, that means something. But for the most part, it is, like, even just in that sense, it's this very artificial and just analytical, but without much of its own true meaning. But yeah, you just glance, you get right past it just because we're so used to it. But then when you just look at the word and how
and
weird
even, like, the actual structure
I completely
of, like,
agree
the word, 20th.
20th.
Like, that's just one word, 20th.
Can you, like, do that to any other words? Like, could you make it?
It makes me want to, man. Like recognize those moments.
He was.
There are weird words like soliloquy is one I'm thinking.
I have
I don't know.
soliloquy on a list. That's hilarious that you
Okay.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Dude, the word that and this one I don't even know if I can divulge into, but I just really like perhaps.
Perhaps. I say that a lot in my writing, dude. I love it, but I don't say it that often in real life. I do though, a little bit. But in writing especially, I love to use perhaps. Because it sounds so like charming. It's like, well, perhaps it's this, but also it could be that.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a thought. It's such a, I don't know.
There's a great
But
story
maybe.
about perhaps too.
What's the story of perhaps?
Let me see if I can. If I can just find it real quick, I'll just kind of read because I can definitely give it the footnotes. Fuck it. Basically, oh wait. Okay, this is using maybe instead of perhaps, so maybe I'll just try to. Okay, there's a story of an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years. One day his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit. Such bad luck, they said sympathetically. Perhaps, the farmer replied. The next morning the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. How wonderful, the neighbors exclaimed. Perhaps, the old man. But, the following day his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses, was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors came back and offered their sympathy in his misfortune. Perhaps, answered the farmer. The day after, military officials came to the village to draft the young man into the army. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. Perhaps, said the farmer.
Wow. I like that. You never know.
Yeah. How could you know what something means now?
Hmm.
We often say that hindsight's 20/20. Hindsight being a great word. But
Hindsight.
I think you can also look at that same bit of truth and realize that, okay, that means that the present is not 2020. And
Yeah.
And so don't even try.
Don't even try and act like it is.
You don't know what this means.
You never know.
No.
You never know. Everything is just perhaps.
Yeah.
It's true, man. That's solid gold.
Perhaps.
And push it over.
I've also just been kind of trying to record little phrases. Which I think we both have a deep love for those.
Yeah.
So, and that would almost fit in, even if it was just you just put those
Wow,
at the end.
that could be like part 2 of the dictionary is like phrases. Phrases are words, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And just little...
They hold a meaning.
Yeah.
They hold a meaning.
And for me, the meaning is almost just as much in its folk origins and the whole picture it paints. And just having it as an alternative to saying pretty generic things, you can say something that's so eclectically
Dude,
cute.
Talk about another thing that would just be so fun to do, is to just research all sayings and then define them in your own words. You then just are going through sayings.
Well, yeah, and I don't even think you need to define those. I think it's just collecting them. At least, I don't know, maybe we're thinking about sayings slightly different. So for me, the last one that I wrote down was just bored out of my gourd.
So yeah.
And that's all.
I guess you don't need to explain them, but yeah.
But it's it's great to have. It's so much better than saying you're bored. Because already by just saying you're bored out of your gourd, you're less bored.
Bored out of your gourd.
I was bored out of my gourd.
They all have a history to them too.
Yeah, you can almost picture exactly who's saying it and when.
Yeah.
Which is the fun part about it. I do love that Google, if you look up a word, it gives you the chart of like when it was invented and like its popularity through time.
Dang.
Like, let me just bring up perhaps. Let's check that one out while we're talking about it. So that's been around because English per and English hap just combined in the late 15th century. And it's actually on a decline. It was really strong in the 1800s and is just on a very, very steady decline. Nothing crazy. It's still popular.
Still popular and never been as popular as it was when it was born, essentially.
It's about half as popular as it used to be in the 1800s.
People say maybe a lot.
Oh, this is interesting. Right. I think that's exactly it. Maybe. But capital, with a capital P, it's on a slight incline. Very, very slight. Not enough to cancel it out.
Oh, okay.
So
So, like,
start.
a lot of the time people will start a sentence with perhaps.
Yeah. Perhaps I was
which
wrong.
I like to do, yeah.
Which that is, more popular than ever. But to put it in the middle is half as popular as ever. Oh, you're going to do a phrase? Wow. Graph these comma-separated phrases. Let's try some. I don't know how to spell gourd. Is it a U?
Yeah, maybe Gourd. I don't know, though.
Yeah. Gourd's kind of still killing it. It peaked in 1940, which is interesting. That's World War II. During World War II, people were just saying gourd all the time. Makes sense. Victory Gardens. Oh, that's fun. Let's go cattywampus. And so I am curious, like a word like that. Would we put any rules on, like, what makes it in? Is it just words that we, like, are kind of interested in? Or is there, like, a degree of usefulness?
I was going to go through the words in order and not include words that I felt didn't need to be included.
So just create the list and then edit.
Yeah, and then edit the order later, but I was going to go through it in order. And then, like, while doing so, star, and highlight words that I'm like, dang, this word's really cool, And then figure out how to organize the whole thing later on, but...
Wait, so, yeah, ranking-wise... What did you say? You want to do that chronologically or, like, legitimately try to put, like, your favorite word at the top?
Well, I think I would organize it in a way... Like, the first thought was alphabetically, and it's like, how in Excel you can, like, organize by this and this? It's, like, alphabetical and practicality, like, or usefulness. Like, so basically there's like, two halves of this dictionary. One half is the first half being in alphabetical order all the words that you'll ever need, and then in the second half you have a bunch of extra words that can explain things deeper or differently. It's hard to tell the discrepancy in those two, though. It's hard to know when words will not be useful.
Yeah.
And then also, how do you personalize it to add the factor of your favorite words?
Dude, I kind of like that, though.
Of what?
Just ranking them.
The two parts?
No.
Just straight up ranking words.
Yeah, because there's a reason... Because I almost do this, because I'm trying to think, like, a dictionary is set up the way it is so that you can find a word. You go, what does that mean? And you go to it. I don't necessarily think that's what we're doing.
I want to create a book of words that's fun to read.
Yes. Yeah,
not
that's
a fun, not a useful thing. I want to create a book of words,
Mhm.
words, you know, in their most interesting way, like perhaps only interesting words.
perhaps only interesting words. I'm typing that.
you hear me?
The capital P, baby.
You heard me.
You don't need a comma after perhaps, right? I mean, it's not underlining it for me.
I don't
But
think
can
you dude.
But can you?
I believe in the artistic choice of commas.
I completely am with you. It's not. It doesn't underline either. That's interesting. But yeah, dude, I submitted a few college papers where I specifically would add or leave out commas. And
for
like
artistic value.
Yeah, for artistic value that would like specifically, or like I like to start sentences whatever fucking word I want, bro.
Dude, sometimes.
Like, and I think that is okay. But like, and so far, even if they directly say that like you'll be docked for things, I don't think I've even been docked. And if I had, like, I'm always willing, because Cassie always like she's like a really good proofreader for me, and she'll always be like, okay, so this isn't. I'm like, I'm willing to lose a point for that. Comma.
Yeah. Dude, I'm the same way. Like, even sometimes you'll send me something and I'll just know, like, no, he did that. I read this that way. Like, I think that there was a point in which you just had me type a caption for you or something. And I was like, no, like, I'm not going to say, like, I know he knows. Like, I know that this is a choice.
Mm.
Like, I think it was like when you had me type the caption for the Lacklust video or something.
That's what I was guessing. Do you remember what?
And I know. Well, I just know because you had told me when to do a comma at one point, and so I was like, he would tell me if he needed a comma here, but he knows he doesn't. You know.
Oh,
I don't remember exactly, but I remember having that thought and that and holding back that thought of like, do you want a comma here? But I was like, nah, he doesn't. I know he doesn't.
Oh, that's dope. That's friendship right there.
Yeah, that was friendship.
That could be a decent. I don't know. I mean, just like while we're brainstorming, it could be fun to have a paragraph on that, on the
Grammar.
the freedom of grammar. Yeah.
Dude, big believer in it. I mean, dude, I've read some David Foster Wallace, man. That dude, he'll just go off sometimes. And sometimes he just won't use any punctuation.
This could be interesting because this could almost just even be. What do you call like a? You're trying to spark a bit of a revolution, like a manifesto. A manifesto of language. This is like a whole.
Dude. It's the whole project, I guess.
It at least could be. It would be fun to just kind of ramble about, yeah, freedom of language and also just like encouraging, creating your own. Tailoring your language. I love adapting words,
yeah.
even changing a pronunciation. Sorry, I'm typing as I'm going.
No, I like it.
And people like it too. Like I mostly do it because I enjoy changing words,
reading that,
swapping words, saying things differently. But I don't know. It gets noted a fair amount. People enjoy. Even just like, dude, I added cheers to my vocabulary. One of the best decisions.
Yeah.
People fucking love it, and it's infectious. Like,
dude,
people tell me all the time, yeah, they get called out by other people for saying cheers, and it's just like, cause like literally like I say it all the time. I don't even notice when I say it anymore. But like, yes, it is now. You can tell who I interact with, cause we say cheers.
Dude, that's how I feel with now whenever I meet somebody, I only say good to know ya.
Yeah.
That's a little piece of words that I've added to my vocab.
And it's got a lot of character. They're gonna, and if on an introduction, they just got a better glimpse into you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just trying to communicate effectively, but I mean it is. You are trying to communicate effectively, but with character. You're trying to.
Yeah. I think that's the emphasis, is to move away from this like, how you doing, good, But like, what more can you say in certain scenarios, or what can you ask, and how can you communicate? How can you use your words?
Yeah. I love it. I don't, and it's really interesting because this is a project that I think it is part just going off on what we already feel, and part, it's like there's so much discovery built into this. So not only the words that we are going to have to learn ourselves and really analyze and come up with definitions for, but also, I mean, I think that that's an idea that I have it to some degree in my life, but would love to further it.
Yeah, man, and it would be cool for us to both have our word guides. Like, I could look into yours and you could look into mine, and we could see which words we picked, which words we overlapped.
Yes, I would like to make this a collaborative thing, but I also agree that will be fun.
It could be interesting to just have it be like the ones you've taken note of, or I don't know if that would be too much to have like a different font for each of us or something.
Yeah. Well, I just don't think
But either way, it doesn't really matter. It's just sort of we put this together, and they're all what we see as valuable and important.
And I think that that's a really good point, because we're offering this not as saying this is the right answer. We're just offering, hey, here's the ones that we picked for us. Read through these, take the ones you like, but also just think about it and create your own. And so in a way, by us merging, we're also doing that with each other's words. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to adopt everything that I adopt likewise. But I think will strengthen, because I think when we put them together, we can be like, oh, I can take that out. I kind of like that word, but like it's not actually effective.
Yeah, like we'll go through our drafts.
Cassie asked me the other day if Wumsy was a real word.
It's good, man.
I said it is.
That'll be a section.
It is.
It absolutely is. Am I real? We could have a little section for created words.
Yeah. What I liked so much about that word is like we very much, like, it wasn't even necessarily like organic. It was literally like created.
Yeah.
We like tried things, and we knew, it's got to be a noun, an adjective, a proper noun, a verb. The Wumsy can Wumsy, Wumsies, Wumsley. That was important. I remember we wanted that. And I just remember literally trying different letter combinations to find the word that sounded like it.
Wumsy. It works really well.
And it's so necessary. As far as I know, there's not another word for a creative solution. An improvised creative solution that is just sufficient.
A repurposed. Or
is making something with what you have
altered
to solve a problem, not necessarily perfectly, but almost immediately.
Perhaps a combining of two different things.
It's real
to create one.
Yeah.
One useful.
I feel like Wumsies are also just like, not only do they solve a problem, but they're like an exercise. Which I found when I was working on one of my group projects in the design school, there was like, just to like get my own juices flowing. I'm like we're like, it's after hours, like, I got the whole place to ourselves. So I'm like on tables and shit, and then just like we like get the paint out, and it's like, all right, where are we gonna put this paint? Dig through the trash. Somebody had an old milk jug thing. Rinse it out, cut it open. All right, mix the paint in there. It'd be cool if we had a little palette. All right, I think I can make a palette in a minute flat. Grab some cardboard, cut it out to a fun shape. Big old palette with a little thumb hole, so I can really feel like I'm a painter. But I don't want it to be cardboard, so we'll put some tape around it to make it the right texture. All right. And like you're not even wasting time, but your juices are now flowing. You know that you can overcome things. It feels fun to have this palette, and the whole mood in here is just like kind of exciting. Like we can just create things out of nothing. Now let's go.
Yeah.
Now let's go. It's just like it's a free throw line, or I mean it's a layup line, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
That's part of the onesie, and just to put that.
Just start grabbing onto its flow.
Yeah.
Just letting it take you. I mean, I'm always doing it now.
It's good, and I think you can.
When I'm organizing my room or anything, you know.
Yeah.
What can I put on top of something else? Like right now, I've got this mini piano, and it's a great coffee table with like the cassette player on top of it, and there's just always different things to merge into one or form something else. I was trying to think of like a binocular holder the other day.
Like, how do you want it to be held?
Well, like I was trying to get like a shot from my camera through the binocular holes. And so I wanted to like combine somehow like this broken tripod into like a platform at the top of it. I don't know.
So like essentially put your binoculars on a tripod and like maybe even be able to move it.
Yeah, like ideally I kind of wanted to mess with like, okay, so you know how binoculars, like you look through two holes, but you merge your two eyes just like your eyesight into one view.
Yeah.
Like one circle. I essentially wanted to try and like get that in video form. Like I wanted to shoot through both eye holes and then in editing kind of like fadedly piece them together into one circle.
Dude, I've like always thought about that.
Right, dude? Isn't that like just a curious thing to try and tackle?
Yeah, and even just like in film, you know, sometimes if it's in like a POV and like a character's like waking up from something, it'll like blink, you know? But it's always like a single eye blink, and I was like, ah. Plus, I don't know, I like to go a little bit cross-eyed sometimes. And that could be really interesting. And like sometimes people will do it, like if
like,
somebody gets like hit in the head or something, it'll go a little cross-eyed, and you'll see two things. But like it'd be really interesting if somebody was just like talking, and maybe like your character is like a little bit ADHD, and is being told something, and just without it ever mentioned, it just goes a little bit cross-eyed and then back. Like.
This is next level. I mean, I was trying to get it to work for binoculars, obviously, but it's really interesting to think about just taking it into a POV shot. Trying to transform a POV shot from the simplicity of just shooting and walking to the complexity of shooting two shots at slightly different angles and merging them together.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always also thinking about maybe I could just like take the shot, like flip it horizontally, and then like cut each of them off about 3/4 of the way. Doesn't really work.
Well, you would want to flip it.
You wouldn't want to flip it, yeah.
But I see what you're saying, that you could get an effect by using one camera.
By using one shot, yeah.
You might be able to. And honestly, that probably would be easier than trying to rig up two. It's really interesting that I don't know how it looks to try to do it too. It would be a real experiment.
To like conceptualize eyesight in film.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that with audio, we shoot in, stereo.
Yeah.
But
it's so fascinating to like close one eye at a time, or like so like if you like are just facing forward and you move your eyes to the left, right, the left corner, and then you just close your left eye, you see that view. Close your right eye and you see that view. It's so interesting to like see that difference.
I do it regularly because I am deeply like, I don't know, it's not even, I guess I am maybe a little bit fascinated by it. Especially right now it's great because I have this water bottle and microphone pretty close to me, but then I'm also like looking at the far wall and outside the window.
Like Yeah, it's
So my
interesting
left
because
eye can
my-
only see half of the window, but my right eye can see all of it, so I can see the whole window.
Yeah, yeah,
more
like
goes to
you-
the microphone. It's so brilliant.
Oh. Oh my gosh, dude, you're right. So I'm clipping a chip of my window off if I'm looking through with the microphone, if I'm looking through my right eye only. But if my left eye, I see my whole window. So with both of them open, there's this weird faded double of a microphone
Mm-hmm.
if I really wanted to analyze it. But really, I'm looking right through it, through the window.
Mm-hmm. And then you can even see, like, if you look at the
Wow.
center of that, because there's the two microphones, right? There's the two ghosts, but where they overlap, they're actually solid. But it's like this weird created.
Yeah. There's that overlap.
But it's like you're not just seeing an actual microphone. You're seeing like the right side of one part of the microphone, the left side, and they're overlapped to create a solid that is each side. You know what I mean?
Okay, so there's also a ghost on the right side too, but they're merging together to form a middle mic.
They're merging together to form a middle mic. Yeah, but the middle mic doesn't even exist. It's created by the two sides.
It's created by the two.
To make it look like it's actually
Oh
there,
my
but
gosh,
it's not.
yeah. So like, so the one that, wow, yeah, it's a between. Really, really bizarre. And so if I'm looking, yeah, so it goes the same way. Like if I'm just looking through the eye that allows me to see the whole window. Yeah, if I'm trying to, yeah, I see a little faded ghost on the right as well. Then with both of them open. Huh. This will be a complicated effect. I'm noticing my left eye is a little bit higher than my right.
Is it because your head's tipped? Or because you're...
Absolutely.
Okay. Or because your mother was a drinker. It can get really weird if you're like laying on a pillow. You know, if you're like on the sides, like.
Oh, I've always done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always like pointed it out in that regard. That's a fun one, where it's like blatantly just blinded in one side.
Sometimes you can find the center of something by crossing your eyes.
Wow. Okay, so when I cross my eyes, you just see the two. No. Those are completely altered. See the two views. So you're saying when you cross your eyes, you can get one, like if you're holding your finger out.
No, I don't really hold
You
my
get
finger.
one?
I don't know. You could just get a better idea. Because already when you look at something, you get a decent idea of where the center is, you know? But
Yeah.
if I just start to cross, then you're kind of dividing it into like fourths. And then that can just like give you a better idea. It gives you a line to move across too. So you're like, yeah, and there. So you're just like moving one of your eyes' vision across it as a reference to the other eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's really fun to just focus this much on vision. Sometimes I've watched Cassie do this before, maybe we've done it too, but and I'm not even sure if I actually like this, but it can be fun on occasion, is to like look with your eyes and like, so right now I'm seeing this like my textured wall with a little bit of reflection coming off it, and I know exactly what it feels like, you know, I'm very familiar with this type of wall. Even I've got a good idea of what the temperature probably is when I touch it. And I think about like, what if I like kind of ran my fingernail on it and like the sound it would make, and if I like tapped it with my palm, what that would make, or if I knocked on it, it would make that sound. And so you're just like trying to like interact with everything you see, interact with it with your other senses, but just like hypothetically. And just using the vision as the grounding one. And you look at the wood, you know
Yeah.
how that feels. And there's the sheets, you know how those feel. You even look outside, the leaves, you know exactly how those leaves feel, and if you pulled it off the tree, what sound it'd make, and a little rip, you would rip it right down. And maybe it'd start to be around the veins, but then it'd come off. And it's just fun. I'm seeing some
Yeah.
blinds, and if you just like kind of zhushed them up against each other and twisted them down, and just interacting, the metal is going to be a little bit colder. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's just interesting just like how all of that is just stored in your brain.
Yeah.
And it would shock
Like how
you
else
if it
could
was
we
different.
have that info?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there a way to use this to our advantage?
I'm thinking, well, if we were talking about comedy being like you set up a premise and you give them the unexpected, you
Yeah.
could have comedy in a weird art by having something that totally looks like something that you know how it feels, you know the temperature of it and the sound it would make, but then you touch it and it just does something completely different.
Mm.
If this drywall, a little strip of wood, you felt it and then it was actually soft, cold, and made a funny noise, you'd probably giggle. You'd be like,
Yeah.
whoa! Yeah.
I think that to do it well, you'd have to really artistically choose your sounds and your feelings that actually happen. Because there is that aspect of just like goofy sound fully, you know, like you just hear a corkscrew noise when you pull up the string or something, you know, like
Yeah.
you
You
know
have to be very intentional on what it actually
you'd have to be very intentional, but it doesn't need to be like intentional in a profound way, but it just needs to be kind of unique, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Or like maybe like just maybe slightly pondered by the person that experiences it, but not like overly dramatic even in their acceptance, but definitely reacting with question and but moving on and accepting, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah. And
how would you go about it if you really felt the wall and it was different, you know, like, and you're by yourself, like, you can't flip yourself upside down and go, what the heck? You would just kind of be like, huh.
oh, yeah, it'd be a novel experience.
Yeah.
And I think it would just call to your attention of that we always have assumptions.
That could be a good story to tell with it.
Mm-hmm. I even just like, I've seen some artists like, one guy, he took this like beautiful like convertible yellow car, you know, from like maybe like the 70s, beautiful car, and he made it, the car looked like a big puffy cloud that was almost even like covering the wheels and stuff, but it was still like metal, just like completely made it this like ridiculous shape, and then like it was still like a functioning car. I thought that was so
Whoa.
cool. I've also seen, this is like somewhat related, a woman was doing, she would take symbols that she thought were like really like masculine, and then turn them into like pretty much like pillows. And usually they were like really big. So it'd be like a giant like pillow like basketball hoop, or like big old pack of like Marlboro Reds, but it was like this big like pillow. And it's sort of like making these statements of like, you know, while these things are viewed as like masculine, that they're actually kind of this like viewing a man as almost a child that like clings to like cigarettes in the same way that they would a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
And even just like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it becomes really interesting just changing that one thing, making something solid or something. So I think anytime you do just make things wrong, if you like tactfully make it wrong, it can be really enlightening on the way normal is. Because I think that's kind of the human condition, is that normal feels so obvious that we forget
That
about
we forget
it.
it's
So you want to fuck it
it's-
up just to remind people what's actually there.
Yeah, and the absurdity in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, yeah, that's insightful in itself.
I think it's what meditation
Concept
is
of this
supposed to
art
be
form.
for, right? To strip back everything and just remember what it's like to just be alive.
Yeah, to just be breathing.
Dude, what if you just walk into a you walk into an exhibit at the museum, just the door's shut, like the air gets taken out of the room. Just gives it back after like 10 seconds. It's a terrible idea, but like it'd be fucking sick.
The air goes away.
Could you imagine? Yeah, just like something that we just like literally, obviously we take it for granted. But yeah, just to have 10 seconds of a group of people just losing air, and you kind of panic, and then it's just restored, and you're just like supposed to go about your day.
Yeah, dude, I wonder how that would go, because like you would what re-breathe the air you've already breathed for a bit.
It depends. Like if it was a vacuum, like and actually was void of all air, you would lose your air and it would either get sucked away by the vacuum as well, or it just dissipates so thinly that you couldn't breathe it.
Wow.
Because it's really weird, because like your lungs need to like, I mean this is gonna get weird, but even like maybe that's a weird detour.
Dude, I really like that idea though.
Of
I mean, just like, I feel like that taps into the surreal side of possibility, and that I'm so interested in and I so believe in, of like, perhaps, you know what I mean? You don't know. We don't know. We act like we know what the norms are, but we don't. And I think that's what this art form that we're kind of exploring right now is going for. It's changing things we thought we knew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the mastermind behind 2020.
It is. It is absolutely the mastermind behind 2020.
Let's get a little bit of metaphysical rebellion.
Perhaps this is a metaphysical rebellion. Yeah, man, it's really fun to read this book. I'll have to like hand it to you next time or something that we're together. Just because like it's really brilliantly told. And when I first got it, I skipped all the way to the art chapter, because when I first tried to read, Metaphysical Rebellion, I was like, oh boy, this is a big one. I don't know if I got this one yet. But since the time is so we're in rebellion, I was ready to tackle it. And yeah, it's not the easiest, but it's really, really insightful and just illuminates these meanings.
That sounds cool. I could use that, yeah.
It starts by just sort of tackling, okay, what does it mean to it? Let's start with the philosophy of the absurd. And in the absurd, one believes that nothing, everything happens purely by chance. And that if you die, it was by chance. So therefore, by murdering somebody, it's not right, because you are therefore doing that, consciously, and that is not an absurd matter of just by chance, So it doesn't follow the philosophy of the absurd. And so it goes into like, it's a very philosophical style of writing, but I find it fun to read.
Yeah. And it's cool that it seems like it then comes back around to being very checkable and very real.
He's constantly giving examples, but he starts by relaying like, okay, what are the rules of this style of living or belief.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So does he just kind of break down all styles of belief? Or at least like a handful?
Yeah, like, so he goes into, like, religion, he goes into absurd, he goes into nihilism, he goes into, nihilism, of course, gets confused with absurd, but it is not the same, nihilism is the belief, so, like, he'll kind of outline what, if you believe in this, then that, it's much easier to accept murder, or, like, he'll dissect, like, it's all kind of, in this time frame, it's studying the act of murder. It's like the book is literally a study. Like, as he's writing, he's trying to dissect whether it is okay or not okay to kill other humans. And so by studying it, he's starting by the example of, there was, I guess, a big wave of suicide in, like, the 1920s or something. Or something, I don't know, the early 1900s. And so it's like, if we are, if suicide is against the rules, then murder is against the rules. Like, they're both the same coin. And so, yeah, it's kind of a lot better to just read through this stuff than it is for me to explain it. But it's obviously something I'm excited about right now. And like I said earlier, I have to reread those first chapters to really understand it deeply.
So I'm kind of curious. So if those are like, he's just kind of outlining belief systems. Is there a belief system that you think you ascribe to?
It's definitely made me think about that a little bit. I kind of believe in manifest destiny.
Yeah. Sorry, Okay, so what does that mean for you?
So, I believe the world kind of reflects what you choose to consciously take in. Like, there are different pockets of lifestyles and things that come with them. And, like, say I'm very into art, I will discover great artists by showing interest in it over time. And I guess by appreciating spontaneity will reward me. Does that kind of make sense? Like, by believing in something, it will be true.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like I was saying with your tarot reading. Everything is believing, and questioning is not believing. So sort of this truth in life is how you see it, and you choose how you want to look at it. And
do you think that there is, like, one thing that's actually there? Or do you think that it is, like, that the perception is at least equally as strong as any sort of objective?
So you're saying, do I think that there is a higher power, or if perception, my beliefs are the higher power?
Could you ever, well, I mean, can you have a perception that's more right or more wrong? Or are all perceptions, like, equal?
I think that I believe that you have the right to your perception. And that is always, that is always right. Like, because, yeah, I think there is no right or wrong, but whatever you choose will be what life is for you. It's like, makes sense. It's like,
yeah,
it's like, unless you're questioning it, unless you're fake percepting it to be that way. Like, you can be a Catholic person and question Catholicism without discovering what you believe, which puts you in a weird place. But if you truly believe in Catholicism, I don't know, man. I don't know, because
I mean, I think there is like a lot right with that. From like a very like people state. Like, I do think that is like how we operate in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
What you believe is real to you. But I think it leaves a little bit of room for, like, while I completely believe that whatever you believe is real to you, I think it doesn't mean whatever you believe is real.
Oh, also, it's only real to you right now while you believe in it right now.
Mm-hmm.
If I later on realize something else, that doesn't make that this moment where I believed in this was wrong. Just what the world was reflecting upon me while I believed in this.
Maybe it's what you're reflecting on the world.
Like,
that's the way I see it. I think that might actually be one of the differences in... Yeah.
So you think that what you reflect, what you put into the world becomes what your existence
feels like. Yeah. Yeah, I think that we are like filtered, in like sort of a bad way. We are filtering reality through our lens of beliefs. I think, and almost polluting. So what you believe is real to you, but it might not be what's real.
Yeah. Like, but it is to you in that moment, but it also is because you're making it to be.
Yeah, that's what I think. I guess I believe in an objective reality.
Okay.
But I also believe that a human being cannot
manipulate their own existence.
They cannot wrap their head around the objective reality. We only get fractions of it that we view through jaded lenses. And it's pretty
okay.
good.
So there are moments in which we can see little specks of light coming through a window of these objective truths. But the whole room is filled with your view that you already have.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to look at it. Or maybe like you're looking, you're in a car and you're viewing
we always are in cars, man.
You're viewing the world through the windshield that's got some bugs on it, but you also can't see out of any of the other windows in the car. You're getting a slice. And so I think you can, and there's some bugs on the windshield, and different people have different bugs on the windshield, and maybe the windshield's, more curved than others, so it's skewed. I think we all have a pretty similar idea of reality. And we can check it a little bit with some science. Some things, at least. So,
and maybe the technology that is our cars now and the windshields we can make now.
Yeah. The better,
what I mean? Like,
the better you can manufacture a windshield.
We can see it clear.
You can see it clear. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true. It's really interesting. There's this thing where, like, people describe the human brain based on whatever technology they have at the time. So, back in the day, people used to say the brain is like a clock. Because a clock was the most complicated system of gears that ticked along. And now we say the brain is like a computer. Because that's like our most, computers are making all these decisions and we have these different parts. But when we develop the next part of technology, we'll be like, oh, the brain is like this. And we're getting closer. Because in the way, like it is, like they're not entirely wrong. I can see why they thought it was like a clock, but also it seems like ridiculous. You're missing a lot in the same way that we're going to feel that way about a computer. And these are not ones and zeros. They're acting kind of like it, but it's like chemical. It's biological. It's a biological computer. Sorry, I got to plug in the laptop here quick.
Interesting. So it's like we're getting closer to getting beyond the numbers and getting more towards being able to create actual brain.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know if we'll be able to ever recreate our own, per se, other than through
create. I mean, after creating our own brain, or creating brain,
yeah.
Does that come with, do we ever get to understanding existence?
I think you have to upgrade your brain. I don't think the human brain, at least...
So, in order so we have to get to being able to create brain, and after brain comes simulation, being able to create existence? Or at least
I think you need more senses. You need more senses and then a better way to make sense of them. To make sense of your senses. Because, like, the fact we only have, like 5 is what we say, at least. 5 senses, And we even know, like, with vision.
6.
Vision's, like, one of our strongest senses. And we know that it's not even that good. It's great, don't get me wrong. But even, like, my cat's is better. And I know that we can build... There's a whole spectrum of light, and we can see almost none of it. So
true.
we know that things exist outside of that.
Wow.
And so by being able to be aware of that, you would have a better understanding of the world. But also, you need to somehow... The programming and your understanding of that to remove biases could, I think, get you closer to the objective reality. Whether or not that's desirable, I don't know. I think it is, though.
So basically, we're toggling between 2 possible existences, one being objective and one being subjective. And interestingly, we're kind of opposites on our beliefs. You kind of believe in an objective truth, and I believe more in a subjective truth.
Yeah. I definitely believe in both.
That's how I
don't know if anything can actually experience the objective truth, but I believe that there is one.
Wild.
And I think some people have clearer filters than others.
Clear windshields. Better fluid. That's why you got to get out and see all the other trees.
Yeah. And my objective reality is not a boring one. Like, I feel like when you start to talk about that, or like when I started to talk about that, it starts to feel,
Vague.
yeah, or like boring. Like, this is truth. It's a yes, it's a no, and there's real. And like, if with science, we can find real. But like, I believe that the objective reality is crazy.
Yeah, like the formula that is making all of this go as it does is extremely complex and unseen.
Yeah, yeah. You would if you were able to understand it, you would not be bored. Like, cause you almost think like, in fiction's more exciting than nonfiction. What could be is more exciting than what is. But I think if you truly knew what was, and I think good fiction is actually telling you what actually is, you would never be bored a second. It would be so fascinating.
If it were to actually tell through the lens of how it all works, rather than just giving examples as to a certain story and the way it worked, but just seeing so far into how this all worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The cues in which led these people to certain areas or triggered their brains to think. Man, sometimes I wonder like why I like my brain will like I'll look to my left and I'll see something interesting and I'll think, wait, I don't even remember thinking I should look left. Do you ever have something like that happen?
I think so, yeah.
Like I'll all of a sudden be looking at something to my left and I'll be like intrigued by it and I'll be like, who told me to look left?
Yeah.
Or why did I just look at the clock?
Yeah, I think I subscribe to the belief that we're all smarter than we think we are. And I think like a lot of, and this is sort of, I think, a Buddhist idea. It was like the first time I ever came across it, and then I kind of forgot about it. But like, I think there's part of us, like sometimes you'll be doing something and you're not sure what's the right answer, but like actually you know. And part of you might be ignoring that you know.
And questioning whether or not you do know.
But deep down, you know, and you've probably known.
Dude, I think that's where... Yeah, I think everybody... Okay, so everybody has genius in them. And geniuses are able to understand that they know.
Yeah, I think, yeah, man. They've expanded the circle.
Like, when I think David Lynch, like, how did he know to make this decision? Or how did he think this up? And when I actually try and imagine that scenario on that day where he thought it up, I'm realizing he probably just thought of it and then just knew it was right. I don't know if it was you that talked about this recently, but I mean we've been talking about it a lot in these calls of just accepting the natural and how it goes. Like, I think that's similar to where I'm trying to get towards, is just overall working quicker and trying to find comfort in believing that I know rather than constantly questioning what could be better or best.
Yeah.
Even in like my belief in what existence is, just trying to act like I know, or not act like, just trying to believe that I know.
You're right. It's a real balance.
A balance of thinking deeply or thinking for a long, thinking a lot, you know, about things, but or working on stuff for a long time, but ultimately making decisions quickly.
Or at least like just knowing when you're right. Like,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
and yeah.
Like you have like I'm always, because I'm just working on this film project. I'm just trying to think like, okay, which street should I shoot this thing on? You know, and like I'm toggling, I'm trying to figure out like between 3 streets, and ultimately I'm like, it doesn't matter that much. They could all work, but I know it's this one.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I know it's Camp Cardinal.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Because it's great to question things, but you're right. You don't overthink,
You
and
don't overthink
that right there, the gut instinct.
the gut. It's getting good at using your
Using
gut.
your gut.
That's what
That's exactly what it is.
it's being able. It's like tapping into your gut is a skill, and so to get better at that is to just really shoot yourself forward
I think that's exactly it.
in knowing.
Yes.
It's like it's all in our gut. Knowing is within your gut.
Yes.
And so to become stronger in minded in whatever it is, it's to become stronger at tuning into your gut.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I think your gut is smarter than your brain. Using these terms.
Oh, dude. Yes. And I think because, you know, there's that one Hugh Prather line where it's like, I tend to analyze life rather than live it.
Mm.
And that's sort of like this, you know, it's like, you can analyze all day.
Yeah.
I practically analyze as if it's my job. I mean, that's what I do when I write, you know? I go down as far as a path I can in any hole.
Mm.
And it's fun. I like to do that. But when deciding, you know, deciding on things or trying to solve things or even making moves in a beat or, you know, it's like, you know when that kick was the right one. You know when that snare was the right one. You know that this isn't it, just as much as you know that is it.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that you're really good at that I don't think a lot of people are, and that I've seen you get good at, like I've seen it happen, is your ability to decide when you do and don't want to do something. Like if somebody asks you to do something, you just kind of look at your gut and you go, you know what, that sounds fun, but I don't think I want to now. Not a lot of people do that.
I definitely feel like those are difficult moments for me because my gut is so present.
That's a good thing.
You know what I mean? Like, I see it as a good thing, but sometimes it's hard to be in that moment in which you realize you don't want to do something that somebody else wants to do. That's difficult. That's a difficult place to be.
Yeah.
To have a feeling in your gut that says something differently than what the feeling of the room is.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been that could have been a good way of me practicing, is just by straight up deciding in terms of whether or not we should go to the caves.
And it's so interesting because I feel like it's not that you're like really like thinking like, well, I'm gonna be in bed by 7 and I kind of wanted to do this and I should take the trash out, but there's gonna be this person there and we haven't hung out since this time and I can drive. Like I feel like you just kind of think, I don't know, and this might be stupid and reductionist, but
you just kind of see it.
you just kind of see it. I even like when I go to like, if I want to watch a movie, I just kind of look at it and I'm like, what kind of movie do I want to watch? And then
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be like, no, and I can't quite think of any. And then I'm like, well, wait a second, I don't want to watch a movie. I'm like,
Yeah, you realize you don't
I
want to
don't
watch a
want to
movie.
watch a movie. And my gut's been telling me this. But I'm trying to like look, like, well, but if you did want to watch a movie, what kind of movie would you want to watch? And it's like, no, I don't want to watch a movie. I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? Oh, I want to go outside. I want to go. Let's do that. And then you get outside and you're like, that was fucking right. And
Yeah.
I almost didn't.
I mean, do I want to buy a camera?
Do I want to buy a camera?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, oh fuck, I do.
Yeah.
Do I want to get on Amtrak?
You do.
I do.
And I don't think the gut is reckless. It's not just like your
Dude,
whimsical
dude,
desires.
oh. Dude, this is where okay, so I had this thought recently. Okay, so it's like so your gut is sort of the gut translates your feelings. And your feelings determine how you should act. So basically, you should never do like life is feeding you what you should be doing and thinking about certain things to your feelings, and your gut then translate those meanings and feelings to your consciousness, whether or not you're able to tap in to your gut.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, life, like if like my friend Tommy was feeling nostalgic. He was feeling nostalgic about being in Iowa City and about moving on to his future, possibly somewhere new. And I was trying to figure out what that meant. But life was sending him this message. And he had this feeling. And he called a friend that he had like talked about maybe living with. And he felt really good when he was talking to that friend about possibly living with them the next year. And that was me saying, life is trying to tell you that you should do that. Man, it gets really hard. That's how difficult the formula of life is. When you try and explain it like a dream, it disappears. You have this feeling of understanding of the objective truth of the universe. And as I try and relay it back, it disappears. Here I am, squirming.
I think it might be worth noting too that I don't think that the gut, it's not necessarily right. I think that the gut is the absolute best guide, the most informed resource.
Ooh. It's not the truth necessarily. It's not what's right. It is the ultimate decision maker.
It is the most informed decision maker.
Yeah, yeah.
It is your best bet.
Yeah, and here you go. Here it is. Now you think about it for a while, but here's the best.
Here's the best.
You can go ahead. You go ahead. You think about it all you want, but here's the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can find something else that'll be all right, but this is, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
I've already done it. I've already done the work.
And that's absolutely been my experience. If it's actually the gut, there's a couple things that sound like the gut that aren't impulses, for example.
Dude.
Impulses are not your gut. Don't get that twisted.
Dude, that's funny.
But if you're listening to the gut, it's your gut. Okay, so this is gonna sort of broach into the one question that I prepared that I want to ask you at some point. I'm going to kind of ruin it just for the sake of just because we're too there. What I think the gut is the subconscious.
Yeah.
I think, and it is your conscious that is just always absorbing everything. It is my subconscious that knows the temperature of the wall, what that's going to be like. Because every time I touch a wall, my subconscious stores that. I don't keep it in my front brain. I don't think about it. So what's fun about that little thought experiment and potentially these art projects is to bring something, just take the flashlight of your front brain and shine it into your subconscious and see that it's there. For a second, it's because you shine the light on it with your main brain, and for a second, it is now part of your main brain, and then it's probably going to fade back into your subconscious. And there's this thing where poker players like talk about listening to their gut and stuff, and I've kind of heard it broken down as like this like new way. Poker players have never been better than they are now because these people have been able to play online poker. So essentially, where you used to have to be able to find, 6 people to play poker with, now you can always be playing 10 games where you can just have as many games up on your screen as you want and just be playing all day. So they've just seen 100 times more hands of poker than players of the past. So even though they don't remember every hand they've played, their subconscious is storing that information of, okay, this happened and this happened and this happened and this was the outcome. And I did this, he did that, and that was the outcome. So then just having all of that stored, when a card flips, your gut remembers kind of what's happened all these times. It's crunching those odds that your brain could never comprehend. And it's going to tell you, hey, do this. And the players that have played more hands, that have given their subconscious more information.
More things that it's been fed more times.
Yeah. The gut is more accurate.
The gut.
And you listen to
the
it.
The gut is more full.
Yeah. The gut is more full, yeah. And it'll tell you, and it's more right, and you're gonna make a good bet in poker. And so that's the same.
Odds are better. It's experienced more.
Yes. And so that's what is so great. I mean, it's reaffirming, but because I'm a person that loves experiences, but I think it's reaffirming in that if you can have experiences, you're feeding your gut. And if you can...
Experiences feed your gut, and just as much a poker experience feeds your gut poker skills, life experiences feed you life skills.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it.
That's really interesting.
And I think a lot of people...
just by the subconscious. Yeah, that's just what takes things in. When you do something, the subconscious stores, without even your knowledge of, everything that you've done within this encounter, even if it goes completely forgotten and out of your memory.
Yes, the memory does not hold it, yeah.
And if you get in the circumstance like this again and you're trying to remember what happened last time but you can't, there's part of your gut that has it that you can maybe tap into to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. People with trauma, some people, they repress the memory completely, But the way that it comes up is that, they have an aversion to cardboard or something, because maybe when it happened, they were on cardboard, whatever. If it's like a certain temperature, if it's 64 degrees, all of a sudden, you're just anxious. Because you don't remember it in your memory, but your subconscious remembers it. And that's how you find it out. That's how people recall traumas, is by exploring these weird, kind of seemingly out of place things that the subconscious knows, but the memory doesn't.
Dude, Ev, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the bar when this woman tells you should look into design at Ames.
Yeah.
And here you are, this, new bartender at Stella, bringing in bank on football Saturdays, and you go, you know what, I might actually do that. This actually sounds kind of good from my gut,
Yeah.
I mean, we have examples. We can go along all day, and it's really good to illuminate this, I think.
Yes. Yeah, the two big takeaways for me is listen to it, practice listening to it, the better you can be
I
at
was literally
listening to it.
thinking, I was like, Ev, if you come up with any more ways that you've discovered of practicing tapping into your gut, just let me know,
Okay.
dude, because I'm trying to get better
Okay,
too.
1 second.
Yeah.
Because I'm totally gonna keep that going. But
Me too.
okay. So here's what I got for you that I can offer. So there's a man by the name of Robert Wagner, who has the book Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self.
Yeah. That's the book that you. Okay, yeah.
And I just thought, I mean, he's just
Whoa.
like, bro.
Dreams.
Yes, dude. He's literally just like,
Dreams are your
dreams are your
subconscious.
subconscious. They're a manifestation of your subconscious. You literally, your subconscious.
You go into your gut every
Yes.
night. You're telling
Yeah.
me.
Or you at least go into a projection from your gut.
Wow. Okay.
It's worth knowing.
That is worth knowing.
And so besides that, while
I
we
mean,
are
it makes
practicing
sense.
listening to the gut, I think it's also good to remember to feed your gut.
Feed your gut. Get on that Amtrak.
Yes. Listen to yes.
You're right.
Because
you're
they're
right.
not
you,
just
you,
inherently.
You hear your
yeah.
gut. You do what your gut says, and your gut notices that. And it shows you things more often.
Mm-hmm.
It makes its presence known more often if it's proven to be used.
Yeah. And it's gonna strengthen, for sure.
It strengthens.
Because we know that with the poker players, we know that they're not all created equal. Guts are not just a link to the divinity that has all truth. But I think it's based on your experiences. So play those hands of poker. Play as many hands of poker, and
Keep playing 'em.
listen to your gut. It's weird. Like I'm like so excited to just like.
I know, dude. This is a big
Especially
discovery.
because I have
man.
no plans for the rest of the day.
It's gonna kind of just be sitting there like acting like you're not looking at your gut. But
I'm just gonna just disgustingly looking at my gut.
you just stare. You choose to stare at it just to see what happens. I mean, dude, that's what transcendental meditation is. Feeds is that true happiness lies within, and that transcendental meditation is the vehicle to getting down there, getting in there to your gut.
I completely believe that.
And dude, I completely believe it too. That's why my gut has told me all about TM. You know?
Uh-huh.
That's why my gut feelings towards it were always good. Yeah, I've been thinking about learning it again. I'm getting kind of hungry, but there was one more thing I was going to leave you with. Okay, maybe not. I don't even remember it at this point, now that I started talking about TM.
Yeah, you sure?
But, yeah, I don't remember. I thought there was one more thing, but I'll just say, man, the trees are so tall in my backyard. They're so big. I've just been looking at them this whole call. It's been real nice. They're only glowing at the tippy top now. Other than that, it's all shaded and dark and forest green. But yeah, I might need to get some food in me.
Yeah, me too. But this is great. We
It was great talking, F.
rolled.
We rolled. Just when we thought we had stopped, we found a big hill.
This was good. I really did kind of need this.
Yeah, dude, it's been a busy week for the old brain, taking in a lot of stuff about difficult real life reality. So that old best friend recalibration is especially necessary
Yeah, man.
in moments like this. Well, have a good rest of your day.
You too. Be in touch.
We'll be in touch, man. Peace out.
Peace.